So, Kerri, one of the questions I get from people all the time is, am I ready for Infusionsoft? How do I know when it's the right time to pick Infusionsoft? And I felt like you had a really unique story because you went into Infusionsoft before most people would consider themselves to be ready. You didn't have the huge list, but you knew it was a good choice for your business. So, can you tell me, like, what was your decision process behind that, and how has it affected you?
Yeah. Well, I've had a few successful businesses before, and I know that the people always cost more than my tools. So I went searching for the right kind of tools. And the reason, we're starting at ground zero, we didn't have a list, and we did start out with a smaller tool, like an autoresponder kind of email tool. And I just knew that that was, kind of monkeying around or duct taping, and I call it duct taping, putting that together. And so I would pay for my marketing engineer to put all the systems together, and then because my business was growing quickly, which was the design of my business, I had to keep paying to have it changed because it couldn't be dynamic with me.
Gotcha.
And so that was the beginning. So it wasn't really about list count, am I ready? It's, I know that I'm building a business to grow, and what's the best tool to do that with.
Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense, and I think that's great. One of the questions I also get is, for people who don't, maybe they have a non-traditional business for like the information marketing world. So like they don't just sell ebooks or videos. They have a business. They have a consulting business, maybe high touch, not. It's not the traditional churn and burn of get a million people to view a landing page. Can you talk a little bit about how that's worked for you?
Yeah, that's definitely my business. We don't have a product that we're just looking for high volume. What we were looking for initially was the nurture component and really market segmentation. I used to run an agency, and we built everything on emotional response. So in terms of looking for a tool that I could watch the behavior, I could watch what's happening, and then I could tailor the message the way I would to have the ideal customer experience strategy, so that I lead them and the right people come forward. The conversion rate is unbelievable. It's a small numbers, but it's very high touch. We have a consulting business and very high value. We used to do agency work. I used to have teams of 12, and now with Infusionsoft, we really looked at the fulfillment piece, the automation piece. Now we're looking, we bought it for one thing. We bought it for that lead nurtures, because I don't want to sell, but I do need to get in front of people. So Infusionsoft took that off my plate.
Right.
So the people who raise their hand and say, can I be a client? I'm like, yeah, well, here's a questionnaire to fill out, and I'm furthering that nurture campaign, the experience of my brand before I ever pick up the phone.
Totally.
So I save so much time. Now it's the CRM. Now we're looking at the fulfillment of our deliverable, and how can we still do what we do really well?
Yeah.
Using the power of this particular tool. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's awesome. One of the things that I like to talk to people about is it's when you're working in sales and nurturing prospects, that the yeses are great, the nos are okay, and the maybes will kill you. They suck up all of your time, and it's just that's what that indecision just really hurts you as a business owner. And I think that's one of the cool things you mentioned is you're looking for that nurture process to know who's in your boat and who's not in your boat, and be able to identify them quickly.
Yeah, one of the things I learned really early on is those maybes, they constantly return for more information, and your business model doesn't support. I don't have a sales team. Infusionsoft is my sales team, so they keep coming back, and that's going to kill.
Right.
It's just going to kill the profit, because you need to be doing billable work. And what I learned early on is those people need to be filtered and self-identifying early on. Or they can take as long as they want to figure that out, but it's not on my time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite stories that you told me is about how Infusionsoft was able to essentially replace the efforts of one of your employees when they weren't able to to work for you at the time. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I had spent about a year and a half, my first 18 months launching my business with a really trusted project manager slash assistant to help me. And then she went off to law school. And I was like, oh, out goes my knowledge. And how am I going to, I didn't want to retrain another person for a lot of this repeated effort. And Infusionsoft saved the day and replaced my project manager and just and for a lower cost. Again, I was like, wow. People say I can't afford Infusionsoft. It's like you can't afford not to use that, because do the math around how much time with the VA or yourself or whoever's helping you, your kids,
Right.
to try to do the technology. Add up the hours and then put a number to it. Infusion costs will be lower. I guarantee it. Do the math. And the other piece to that is it triplicated me. And I am the brand. I am the deliverable. I'm what makes us money.
Yeah.
And so how do you clone me? Infusionsoft was the robotic version of myself.
Totally. No, that makes sense. That's one of my favorite things I hear from people who are really using it well. It's like they'll have their customers ask him, how do you always know exactly what I'm doing, and how are you so responsive? It's like every time you click an email, you can call me right away. It's like, it's like you're so on top of everything. How do you do that? Well, Infusionsoft. So, Kerri, if you had to give one piece of advice to someone who was kind of teetering, they're on the fence, they think it's cool, but they're not sure about it, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, I think if you got some clarity around your business, what you're trying to achieve, that's imperative, right? But if you know where you're aiming and the success path to get there, I call it, do the math to the path.
Cool, I like that.
Right. So when you're looking at it, all the tools that you're going to put together, do the math associated with all those tools, not just compare one apple to one orange, but all of the pieces and then the talent that you need, and do the math. And invest in yourself.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Kerri. This is super helpful.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you.